but to rain on your parade, okay, or someone's parade, right? And depending on the type of person you are, there probably been times in your life where you've been that person, okay, where nobody's perfect. Um, but there's like a very common archetype of certain types of people where there's not many good things going on in their life, at least looking in from the outside and based on how they act. Um, and all they do is spread negativity, right? And it may be negativity cloaked in the disguise of comedy, right? They're constantly making jokes that have some sort of deeper negative sense that they're sending your way, right? And you might become used to this. I know in different types of jobs, this is like absolutely the norm, right? Especially in the construction field. Everybody all day long is passing along these jokes that, like, they're funny in the moment, they're hilarious, right? But a lot of times there's this deeper sense of negativity and energy that's being spread. It's like we all fucking hate our jobs here, or sorry, for more proper languaging. We are all unsatisfied with our current position in life and occupation, and so we're gonna make jokes about it. That's the only thing that's gonna get us through the day. Okay, and that's great. I mean, it's still there's some. It's like it's not entirely negative because it does make your day somewhat better, but it's like the underlying issue remains, and honestly, it can almost become stronger because once it's cloaked in that comedic kind of idea that it's all good, it's like you can laugh about it, then you start to avoid it even more so, right? You're not accepting that it's these jokes or this energy that you're feeling about the position is because you're not completely fulfilled. You're not happy with where you're at. You're not like feeling meaningful purpose, right? You know what we're all about here is purpose-driven living. Okay, I've worked several positions like that where I was not fulfilled, right? And I knew that from a young age. Someone my age, fulfillment. What the fuck? Who talks about? Excuse my language. Who talks about fulfillment at 20 years old? But it is what it is. Like that's just how I've always felt. I've always had this idea, this sense of like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? You know what I mean? It's not even directly correlated to the monetary aspect of it. It's like, what am I doing here on a basis? How much am I really helping people? Does it resonate with me? I believe I've just had a more in tune understanding of myself and who I want to be and my possibilities from a younger age than many people are, and that's because of my self-work. This is a long way to go. Right? I'm not tooting my own horn by any means, but back to what I was saying. Are you one of those people that cloak your negative positioning, your unfulfilled position, as something you can just laugh about and forget about after? Because this will drain your energy, man. That's what it does, right? You feel all these ways about your position, and you finally get off at the end of the workday. You're happier than ever. You feel that relaxation. You feel that release, especially on like a Friday, and your brain is just turned off for the rest of the time until you go back to work, right? And if you, God forbid, you actually do have to do something that takes your brain in that time when your brain's typically off, it feels agonizing. It feels like, what am I doing? It's very, extremely hard to do. That's why it's so hard for many people to develop positive habits, right? Because not only is their energy lacking and they feel like, purposeless in whatever it is they're trying to do, but it starts feeling cliche. It's like when you become so used to the fun side of making the negative situation you're not happy with like funny, when you're used to that, right? Like on a very long or at least medium to long term basis, you're used to that sense of like, I'm not truly purpose driven here, right? Because sidebar, that purpose, that lack of purpose in actions that you do, it's like a disconnect from your brain. It's like you have to use however much energy and thinking to do your job, but because there's that lack of resonance inside of you in your soul with it, you're not using as much of your energy as you possibly could. You're not purpose driven, right? As soon you're trying to get off as soon as possible. You're finding every way to avoid doing the work. When you got to do the work, you get it done and whatever. You use your brain for that, but it's there's a disconnect. between you, your brain, and the work. Now, when you're purpose driven, on the other hand, and you're doing tasks that are moving the needle forward and something that's fulfilling to you, there's that connection internally, right? And it feels right. You know you're doing something purposeful, and it gives you that inner sense of fulfillment and drive, and that you're doing something right. Okay? But when you're used to the other side of it, when you're very normalized to this disconnected, like, energetic relationship with the work that you do, and then you go and try and do something purpose driven in your off time, when your brain's normally cut off at that point, it's very hard to do. It's like there's that disconnect from whatever it is that you have to do. It's the same way. That's what it is. It's the same energetic relationship with productivity, because you don't have an inner sense of resonance with that with work, with meaningful work, because the work that you do is just unmeaningful. Then you try and do something meaningful. You try and do meaningful work, and there's a disconnect mentally and with your soul, with your energetic relationship, with work, with productivity, with moving the needle forward and things you need to move the needle forward with purpose, being purpose driven. Does that make sense? It's crazy to think about. And that's the truth. That's what happens, right? I know when I first started doing like journaling and meditation and reading, all these different things, I was used to going to school and hating it, right? Not enjoying any of it. I enjoyed the social interaction, but I hated the learning part. I hated what we were learning there. I hated the ways that most teachers I had taught, right? And so when I went back into it, trying to like get used to reading and become a journaler and all this, it felt so cliche. It was like, what am I doing? I'm sitting here writing to myself, sitting here reading a book in my off time when I could be playing video games or doing God knows what else. It just didn't feel right. It's because my energetic relationship to work and productivity was disconnected. I looked at work as just either monetary or purposeless, right? Because I always had work ethic. These jobs that I had when I was first starting, I knew I wanted to work hard. I would go and work hard, and I looked past the fulfillment side of it because I was young and I needed to make money. The money was the purpose of it, right? But as you get older and you do things longer and you have more of a purpose in everything you do, it's harder to look past not having purpose in something you do on a daily basis, right? But I remember that like feeling so cliche about doing these self-work things that were like, I knew they helped me. I knew they would help me as soon as I developed the habit of them and made it habitual. But it felt so cliche, and there's many times that I stopped. Maybe I faltered in the consistent part of it because I was like, what am I doing? Why would I continue doing this? It's not doing anything for me. But that was just that disconnect, right? Because the only thing in my mind and in my soul that was doing something for me was that making money or doing God knows what else, just having fun, right? That's what doing something for me was in that time. And that's part of maturity, is growing up and realizing that something doesn't have to be fun to be what you need to do, right? It's the shift from pleasure-driven living to purpose-driven living. Doing things that you need to do for the right reasons. Okay? Hope this all made sense. I wouldn't trail off too much. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this idea. If this resonated with you, or if you know someone like this that does anything we talked about here, or if even you found situations where something I said here was resonant. Leave in the comments below. That's all I got. Have a great day.